Welcome into the In the Money podcast for Thursday of the closing week of the Keeneland Fall Meet. I'm Tom Leach along with Jim Goodman, and no stakes race on the Thursday card, so we'll just take a look at the late pick four. And it starts in the sixth race with 2-year-old maidens going 6 furlongs. Some good-looking first-time starters in here, Jim, so this was a tough one for me. Where did you land?
Yeah, these are always fun. I'm glad that we carded it as the first race of the late pick four, so somebody will take a look at it and see how much steam there is on these first-time starters. I went 5 deep in here. I think asking for it with that experience over the Churchill track. This horse is owned by Brilliant Racing, which is Brandon Stauble and some of the other guys around Churchill, and they were really high on this horse. Went off 5-1 at Churchill and ran in the middle of the pack. Didn't really threaten, but that one race will probably help him. Boldor, the 2-horse for Asmussen, Jeans and Boots for Kellen Gorder. Although 12-1 on the morning line, Kellen's 21% first-time starters, and this is a very steady work tab, and he usually has them ready first time out. Super Steed, the 8 for Larry Jones, and Passion Play for Dallas Stewart also has a race under his belt back in August at Indiana. So I guess my win pick might be asking for it simply because he did run at Churchill pretty well. But these first-timers all have a shot. I think the other one, if I went 6 deep, would be Larceny for Brian Lynch. This horse has had 3 buyers in the mid-50s back in Belmont at Saratoga, so has been running against better horses, but didn't seem to be out of that 50s mode, and I don't know if that's good enough to win this with these first-time starters. So that would be my 5 or 6 that I'll use in the pick four. Asking for it is my very, very, very weak win pick.
I took one of the first-timers, the Asmussen barn. This horse comes out of by a stud that commands a $25,000 stud fee, sold for $700,000 as a 2-year-old earlier this year. Some fast works, and that's not always typical for this barn. So off those angles, I thought I'd take a shot with the 2 here, but I certainly want to spread as much as I can in the pick four. Warrior's Change, if he gets in, is, I think, a contender out of the Brad Cox barn just with his numbers for first-timers. Larry Jones, good with first-timers, and the 8 Super Steed has some fast work. So I'm kind of leaning to thinking there's a first-timer that's going to pop up and win this. Couple that you mentioned, Passion Play and Larceny, I would take a look at. The 1-horse 2, I mean, this is one of those deals where spread as far as you can, as your budget allows, I think, unless there is something that guides you to a certain horse in the early betting that you see leading into the 6th race. 7th race is a long one on the turf, 1 mile and 3/16 for 3-year-olds and up, first level allowance. A couple of horses coming out of the same race at Kentucky Downs that I was between those two. I leaned to Sir Sahib off that September 8th race. There was just no pace that day. 53 for the half, almost 117 for 6 furlongs. This horse has steadily improved and working lights out for the Wilkes barn, and they're not known for showing bullet works on the form as this one does. I took Zamurdi second, just finished right with Sir Sahib last time at Kentucky Downs, so kind of a toss-up between those two. Captain Hardship would be my 3rd one. The runner-up in his last race came back to win, and Ortiz is riding in this one and won with him in June. So kind of between those 3, Sir Sahib gets the nod for me. How about you?
I went with Captain Hardship here. I like the last 3 races where there's a horse that came back and won out of the last 3, including Winter Union from the race at Belmont. And the other 2, Zamurdi and Sir Sahib, you have to take them because they did come out of the same race at Kentucky Downs, and they finished within ahead of each other. So I think those 2 are equal. And Captain Hardship may have run against better at Belmont and Saratoga, and that's why I am taking him. But I'm going to use 2, 3, 4 when we get to the pick four.
We'll move to the 8th race. It's another allowance event. This one, 3rd level allowance, 6.5 furlongs for fillies and mares. And this kind of felt like this could be maybe a little bit of an upset in here. Who did you go with?
Yeah, it's a puzzle to me. I went with She's a Gypsy on the inside for Corey Lannery and Helen Pitts. This horse improved on the buyer scale from Ellis to Churchill and won at $62,000 optional claimer, and moving up to $80,000, which isn't much difference. And the horse has won three in a row. Has gone through conditions, and I think that the inside post gets her out to the to at least a stalking trip, if not the lead. There's not a lot of speed on the inside. There's some speed on the outside in the 6, 7, 8. And then I went to the outside for the 9 and 10. Thoughtless, the 9. McLean Robertson is a underrated trainer from the Midwest, and this horse comes out of Canterbury. Canterbury horses have been running very well here. If you go back 3 races in a $50,000 stakes race, when Robertson got him out of that race, he got beat by 1 length with an 83 buyer, and I think that fits very well here. And then Malibu Stacy to 10 for George Weaver. I really like George Weaver bringing a horse here out of Saratoga. Turf to Dirt might not make sense for this horse. He looks like he's a lot better on turf, but it's a 21% angle for George Weaver, and I'm going to throw Malibu Stacy in there as well. So we'll go 3 deep with She's a Gypsy, the 1 horse for Helen Pitts and Corey Lannery, my win pick.
I went for a little bit of a price in here in Quick Release. I like the race at Saratoga in August, pressing a hot pace. I just threw out the last one in the mud at Parks. This horse has won at Keeneland in his only start, or her only start, and the trainer has won with his only starter at the meet, and ships into Saratoga just now and then, and just seems to pick his spots well. So I'm going to take Quick Release. Sister Nation, I took second. Been facing maybe tougher, and Asmussen gets this one into his barn, and he does well with newcomers. I took She's a Gypsy third, the steady improvement. Also, third start off the layoff could mean a little more improvement. Minds and Magics run some good races here for Vicky Oliver. Thoughtless, the Canterbury horse, I like that one as well. I had Malibu Stacy also written down, so as you can tell, I had trouble narrowing this down. So since I didn't have a strong opinion, I thought I'm going to take a swing for a price, and I went with the 7 Quick Release. 9th race, they're going 1 mile and a 16th on the turf, fillies and mares who are maidens. I went to French Empire in here, ran well in her only turf race. Gaff Leon takes the ride. He's been hot, and this horse has faced some tough competition in those races in New York. Took the 8, Regal Serenade. The runner-up in that last race came back to win, and this one's been consistent. My Little Stormy ran okay in the debut and might improve off that, the 3. So threw that one in. If I went one more, probably She's a Lemon Drop Kid. I like those Lemon Drop Kids on this Keeneland turf course. So, again, not a real strong opinion there. That was kind of the story for me in this pick 4. It's going to be a pricey ticket without a real strong opinion. So it's not a lot of confidence when we get to structuring our pick 4 tickets. But tell me what you thought in the 9th.
Well, I believe that you're right in that it's going to be a sequence that's going to pay pretty good. If you can narrow it down somewhere and keep that ticket at a reasonable amount, you can make some money. I went with a horse in here that you did not even mention. A horse called B Bomb, the 2 horse at 10-1 for Adam Bashissa. Probably going to be my long shot of the day when we talk about that on your Keeneland Today show on Thursday. The second race out at Gulfstream really caught my eye. Almost won a maiden special weight. Got a 68 buyer. And then, obviously, they had some issues with the horse and didn't bring him back from December to September. And first time back, kind of ran in the middle of the pack. They took a shot at Kentucky Downs at a big purse down there, $135,000 maiden special weight. Went off at 5-1, got some action on the tote. And Angel of Mischief won that race and came back and won very impressively here last week. So I'm going to go off that race at Gulfstream and that get-ready race at Kentucky Downs and think this horse is going to be right on top of her game today in the second back off a layoff. So I'm going to take B-Bomb for the win. Also to use a horse that you mentioned, Regal Serenade, the 8, and the 7 Artistic Quality, who's probably going to be the favorite off those Tampa races, but hadn't been out since March. So a lot of question marks in this race, and I thought this was the place I was going to take a swing at a horse at a pretty good price at 10-1.
Let's go to our pick 4 tickets. It starts in the 6th race. I ended up with an $80 ticket. I took 4 horses in the first leg. Would like to go deeper, but I used 2, 8, 11, and 14. If the 14 doesn't draw in, then add the 6 passion play, I would suggest. But I'm going 2, 8, 11, 14. Seventh race, I'm just going to use the 2 Kentucky Downs horses, the 2 and the 4. The 8th race, I stopped at 5, 1, 2, 7, 8, 9. I threw in Minds and Magic and Thoughtless along with my top 3. And then the last leg, 3, 6, 8, 9. So, again, $80 ticket and no real strong opinions in there. So maybe what I'm hoping is that there's some steam that shows up in one of those 2-year-old races, in that 2-year race that starts out, and in which case maybe I would just reduce the ticket significantly and single a horse and either live or die early. But anyway, it was a tough sequence. How about you?
Yeah, you got a cheap ticket. I spent $81. So I went 6 deep in the first leg, and that made the special weight. And again, watch the tote board. You may be able to eliminate a couple horses off that. But went 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 11 with Eskin for it, the 1, and probably Boldor, the 2, my top 2 choices. So 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 11. With 2, 3, 4 in the 7th race, the 2 out of Kentucky Downs plus Captain Hardship, my top pick. 1, 9, 10 in the 8th with She's a Gypsy as being my top pick, and then Thoughtless and Malibu Stacy. And then the last leg, I went 2, 7, 8, B-Bomb, the 10-1 win pick, and 7, 8 Artistic Quality and Regal Serenade. So that's 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 11 with 2, 3, 4, with 1, 9, 10 with 2, 7, 8 for $81. And as you can tell, we're both confused about the sequence.
Yeah, it's a tough one on Thursday. Best of luck trying to decipher it. We have 2 more days left in the fall meet, so we'll be back with 2 more editions of the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com.